Emma studied human rights law, but never started that career because she was caught in a vicious loop of depression, self sabotage, and a relentless voice in her head tearing her down every day. It wasn't just self doubt or insecurity, it was something deeper, a toxic internal narrative that kept her stuck in shame and failure. After years of trying everything yoga, healing, therapy Emma finally found a way to break free from that voice. Through, through nervous system healing, somatic work, and energy medicine, she reclaimed her power and rewired her mind. Now she guides women who have done all the things but still feel stuck, invisible, or burnt out to dismantle the shame voice that humiliates, controls, and impersonates them, and reclaim their truth and freedom. And she's done all of that. Plus, she's brought you all a gift. Guys, what can this woman not do? So today, Emma is gifting everybody who's listening to us the 5 signs you need to break up with your inner narcissist guide. And you can grab that at any point while you're listening to us in the caption, in the descriptions, where all the linky links are. Okay, I know you're waiting for it. Without further ado, welcome Emma to the Client Code podcast. Yay!
What an amazing introduction. I feel very special. Thank you so much.
It's only a pleasure. You are special. And I'm so excited to be here. And I'm sure our listeners are like, yes, this is going to be a good one. Because I feel like that word narcissist has been thrown around here, there, willy-nilly. But today we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it all. And who better to teach us about it than you? But as I always say, here on the Client Code, we have a little tradition where I ask everyone, what is your unique client code, Emma?
I think it's about connection. So really connecting with people so they feel your vibe. That's how you get the right people. You attract the right people. You don't want anyone to be aligned with what you're doing. You want the right people. So you've got to show up shamelessly, without shame, which is what I'm going to talk about now, and really be authentic. And the right people resonate towards you who need exactly what it is that you offer, what it is that you do.
I love that. For me, I think this is also why I started this podcast. Connection is so important in it. And just connecting with the right people can either be a good thing or a bad thing. So we're going to figure that out today. You use the term, Emma, inner narcissist. What does that mean? And how is it different from, I don't know, a regular self-doubt or insecurity?
Well, we live in a very narcissistic world, Carol, and we have a lot of narcissists out there. I'm sure most people walking around their day, you meet a few narcissists out there, and it's not always obvious because there are narcissists who are like the grandiose ones, like your Donald Trumps and things like that are very obvious. And they think I'm the greatest, I'm the best, and also manipulate other people. But there are also more covert types that are like, oh, poor me, but they're still very self-centered. Everything goes around me. And I realized that I was brought up like late in life, that I was brought up by a covert narcissist. And it really, once I realized that, this whole thing fractaled out into the world and you could see this pattern replicated everywhere, I realized that I had done the same thing to myself in order to survive living in a house, in a home as a child where I was constantly devalued and scapegoated. What I did is I internalized that shame voice and put it against myself, really. So shame, I'll talk about it, it's like a weapon, but we also internalize it as a shield, which is pretty weird, but we do that strange thing. We think, if I just beat them to the punch, if I shame myself first, then it won't hurt when other people shame me. So that's what I did.
It's very like those self-deprecating jokes, people tell of themselves like, oh, I'm so fat, ha ha ha. I'm like, you shouldn't say that.
Yeah, you're beating other people to the punch. So, and it becomes like an addiction, it becomes something that you get very attached to, and it becomes, then we're told by, I think everyone's internalized this to some degree, particularly in Western culture, where we have the whole culture is kind of founded, if you think about the template of Western culture, particularly,
yes,
the Judeo-Christian culture, is this idea of original sin. So this idea that I'm bad, there's something wrong with me. It's kind of built in, it's wired into our culture somewhere. And it's not universal. It's not all people everywhere have this idea, this particular shade of shame, but we in the West have it. And I think it affects everyone to varying degrees. Like we all utilize shame. We all shame other people. And, if there's a kid here who's bothering me, a very quick way of getting him to stop is shame him.
Yes.
And I'll tell myself I'm doing that to help him out. But no, I'm doing that for my
Yeah.
comfort. Shame is always
Correct.
about the comfort of the shamer, not about the person being shamed. And I just realized that it's a mechanism of control in our world. And we internalize that because it's like the air that we're breathing. So of course we internalize it. And we have social media where like shaming is so normalized. So, and also in our language, he's so shameless, you're so shameful. It's
Yeah.
linguistically that's linguistically enforced that shame is normal and that you need a bit of shame in order to be a good girl or a good boy, in order to be a good human. And that,
Yeah.
believe it or not, is the conventional wisdom. Even people like Brene Brown says that you need some shame. If you don't have some shame, then you're a psychopath. And I
Hmm.
totally disagree with that perspective because the people who are acting out the most in the world, your narcissists, your psychopaths, and toxic people, they're actually acting out of repressed shame. That's not healthy, but it's repressed shame that they haven't recognized, and they project that shame out on other people in order to cope with their own shame that they're not looking at. So the problem is shame, and we're
The
told that
problem is shame.
the
Would you
problem
say,
is
okay, the
yeah.
problem is shame. Would you
Yeah,
say, since the problem is shame, what are the first, like, what are some changes that people notice when they start dismantling that shame, when they start getting rid of the shame? What shifts start to happen? What, walk me through that.
you start being able to take up space without shrinking. And that's huge. And you stop this self sabotaging, the procrastination, all those things, imposter syndrome. Like people treat them like they're the problem, but you can trace them all back to shame. Shame is the real problem here. And all the other things are symptoms, different ways that shame shows up. Like how many people suffer from imposter syndrome who see, particularly women, by the way.
Yes.
Women have a bigger dose of shame, not just because emotionally we're a bit more sensitive, but also because collectively we've been scapegoated for women, too sexy, too fat, too ugly, women's bodies, dirty, too sexy, all of this stuff has been projected on us and we've been scapegoated collectively. And then if you're from a minority group like a non-white, because the white are the kind of top
Yeah.
supposedly in this narcissistic world, if you're not from the top white male
The
collective,
right
then
side of
you're
life.
yeah, the so-called right side of life, then you're also scapegoated, for being from different backgrounds. Like black people have been scapegoated. Now immigrants are being scapegoated. So this is huge thing in our culture. It's like the template for culture and it fractals out everywhere. And of course we internalize it and use it against ourselves because it's like if you're breathing that in like oxygen every day, of course it affects your DNA.
Of course it does. Some of us, you've mentioned, have done the work, myself included. We are using all these things to do the work. We're doing therapy and courses and healing. And yet I still feel like there's this collectiveness of feeling stuck, particularly in women. Why do you
Yeah.
think so many women who have done the work, in quotation marks, are still kind of stuck where they are?
Well, I'm going to sound like, in the risk of sounding like a broken record, Carol, the answer is shame because
The
we've been,
answer to everything is
yeah,
shame today. I love it.
so many things that you
Guys,
could
let's
trace it all
get
back to
this
shame.
clear.
Yeah, you could trace it all back to shame. Like we're told that shame is good. We're told even, therapists and things, very clever people, they have this thing called healthy shame. Now, shame is like, it's not just the belief. The way they talk about it in Western society, they talk about it as the belief that I'm bad. But actually, shame is a toxic cocktail of a bunch of different emotions. So I'm not good enough, disgust, self-loathing, fear, anger turned inwards, so many different things, anxiety, just self-loathing really to a
Yeah.
degree. And then this belief that I'm bad, I'm defective kind of comes downstream from that. And from there you get all these symptoms where you're hiding, where you're shrinking, where you're doing a powerful job, you're great at your job, and you still feel like a failure or fraud. Or you keep sabotaging yourself. You take 2 steps forward and 2 steps back, or you keep doing all the work and nothing moves. This is shame that's still there, because shame says stay small, shrink, be tiny, be as tiny as you can so that no one will see you and you won't be attacked. That's the message from shame. And if you've got like,
No
go
worries. I
ahead.
just wanted to step in here and ask, since the collective feeling is shame, is there something, let's say someone is listening to us right now and they're like, I resonate with everything Emma's saying. I identify that the root of all of this is shame. What is one small little exercise that they could do, maybe even right now, while
Yeah.
they're listening to us, to try and start shifting some of that shame into something more positive?
Well, first thing, I mean, let's talk about the inner narcissist. This is the internalized shame voice. And it's not just a voice, it like hijacks your body. So it doesn't just say, "Oh, you're bad." It actually makes you physically shrink. Shame takes over your body like no other emotion. Like you have fear, when you're afraid, but
Correct.
shame is something else. Shame is much more visceral. It makes you physically shrink. I was looking at old photos of me and I was noticing that you could hardly see my upper lip, because I like when you're in shame, you actually physically start to shrink. Like it's
Recoil.
yeah, your
Yeah.
shoulders down, you look down, your
Yeah.
your body just shrinks. So first of all is really recognizing that shame is not useful. Shame doesn't make you
Mhm.
better at things. Shame doesn't make you perform better. It might in the very short term, it might look that way, but it's always toxic and it's always about control, not care. And that voice inside your head, that narcissist, as I call it, we've got to recognize, first of all, that it's not your friend, that it's not trying to protect you. And this is what we're gaslit by. We're told that this shame
Mm.
voice that tells you, don't get up on that stage, don't start that podcast. Who are you to do that? That's trying to protect you. That's a huge lie. It's not trying to protect you, it's trying to protect itself. Just like the narcissist. The narcissist punches you in the face and kicks you in the balls and then says, "Oh, I'm just trying to protect you." It's a lie. It's a total gaslight. It's not trying to protect you. It's trying to kill you. It's trying to keep you in a tiny box. It's trying to control you. So really recognize that. And that automatically, once you recognize that, you start to break the pattern. And I do have an acronym to help you when you start. I don't know if you've
Yes.
ever had a shame
Tell us the
attack.
acronym.
Okay. So if have you ever had a shame attack, Carol? I have.
Oh my gosh, I was raised by a narcissist. I am like the epitome of shame. Like, girl, sign me up. Like,
Okay.
I know
Right.
shame.
So the first thing that you got to do when that shame attacks, whether it be a voice or just a feeling or everything together, right? You've got to break the trance, BREAK. The first one is break the trance. Recognize that this isn't your voice, it's a spell, it's a pattern, it's a trance state. So you've got to catch it, interrupt it, don't overthink it, just name it. Recognize this is a trance. You don't negotiate with the trance. You name it, and that disrupts the loop automatically,
What
okay?
can we name it? Do I just name it like mom is angry, or do I name it like my kids are driving me up the wall? What do I name it? Do I give it a nice name like Sarah or
Oh, I
Matthew?
call it a bitch, you don't owe it any
Okay,
courtesy.
we can call it that too. Yes.
Not today, bitch. Not today,
Yeah.
Satan. It ain't happening. So that's B. You got to break
Yes.
the trap, first of all.
Yeah.
Then you go on to R, which is refuse to engage. Now, this is massively important. So when you have narcissists out there in the world, we're told not to engage with them. And Dr. Ramani, she has this cool acronym, DEEP. She talks about narcissists and she says, don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, and don't personalize. And that's what we need to do with this voice as well that comes up, or this feeling. Don't defend it, don't engage with it, don't try to explain, and don't personalize. Just say, not today, bitch, not today, Satan. It ain't happening. You
Bye.
know?
You're not
Yeah.
welcome here. Bye.
The thing is, this is the secret. I know it feels huge, but it has no power. It feeds off your power. Remember, it's a parasite. So it has nothing without you giving your energy to it. And a lot of us have spent 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years performing for it, trying to negotiate with it, trying to take to therapy. And all that does, guess what, Carol? It's just gives it narcissistic supply. It doesn't make it go away. It just gets bigger and stronger and more empowered. You just give it more energy, just like with the narcissists. It's exactly the same. Believe me, I've gone through this. It ticks all the boxes of a narcissist, except it does all those things, all that manipulation, all that grandiosity.
Inside.
It does it inside you to you. It attacks you, and it's not you. That's really critical. You've got to recognize, you've got to stop calling it me. I'm saying it to myself. No, the narcissist, this bitch, is telling me that it's not true. It's bullshit. You've
It's
got to
not true.
recognize that. And it's not you. That's really key.
So we've got step number the first acronym was, and then if you can just bring us
Yeah,
back.
sure. So it's break, BREAK. B,
Break.
break the trance. It's a spell. E, expose the lie. So you've got to call out the shame-based programming.
Yes, we
Recognize
did
that
that
it's
one.
control. Oh, sorry, I missed one. R
R,
is refuse to engage.
refuse to engage with it.
Engage with it deep, don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, and don't personalize. Just say not today. So that's
Love it.
B and R. And then we're on E. So E is expose the lie. So call out the shame-based programming. Recognize this is about control. It's not care. It's not trying to love you. It's not trying to keep you safe. It's not your story. And really just speaking that truth starts to disarm it, right? So expose the lies that it's telling you, whatever the BS it's pulling. You've got a big nose,
Yes.
whatever. It's all about
The vibe.
control. It's all about
Yes.
control. So expose that is a lie. Like what is a big nose anyway? Big compared to what? It's all judgment, right? And it's all
Yes.
trying to control you. Then you go on to A, which is anchor the truth. So you want to come back to your body because when this shame thing hijacks you, it actually literally takes over your body, right? It like makes you shrink
Mhm.
physically. You don't speak up. You just want to disappear. Have you ever had that feeling? You just want to disappear. You want to hold, open up so you can disappear. You want to be dead. That's what shame does. Like shame is actually just one up from death. It's in terms of frequency vibration. It's
You
like
have a
such
lot of paralysis. You feel like
God.
you cannot even move. I've been in that. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think some people may resonate with it differently. Maybe you're going through a situation, maybe you're at work and you're bringing up a point, and all of a sudden you're like, that's like light version. The more extreme version of that is someone is coming at you, maybe not physically, but it could be verbally, and you're having an altercation and you just freeze and you're like a deer caught in a headlight. If you've ever had that deer caught in a headlight moment, I feel like that's what Emily's trying to tell you. It's that's what we're speaking about. And a lot of us have felt it, and a lot of us want to go, what do I do next? Heck, I had it yesterday. Like there were people at my house doing some work and something happened that I didn't like, and I just froze. And it was that, as you said, it was that fear, it was that shame, and it was terrible. Okay, so that was E. What is the A?
So A is come back to your body, anchor the truth in your body. So you want to feel your breath, plant your feet, say your name, the year, remind your nervous system. You can, talk to your body, touch your body like I'm safe, I'm sovereign, I'm here, I'm okay.
That.
And then K is to kick it out. So physically, you can actually shake that energy out. Like you'll notice a lot of animals when they have like altercations or fights with other animals, they leave that fight and then they shake it off. They actually physically shake. Come back to normal,
You know what? I've seen my Charlie do that. I have a little Boston Terrier, and like something pisses him off, like the birds, and he's like angry. He's gonna go and try and get them, and he's like in that attack mode. And then when he comes back, he shakes. He's like, so I never love that. Yeah, he's releasing that
He's releasing that
feeling,
anger.
which is the
He's
same thing we
releasing
can do.
Yeah, you can do that. This is like somatic where you can stomp it off, shake it off, like Taylor Swift said, and say it out loud, like this is not mine, because shame is not yours. It's not natural. I mean, it's been normalized, particularly in Western culture. But this particularly individualized form of shame, definitely not natural and definitely never useful. That's the thing. Like all other, and this is why I say it's not a normal emotion, because it's a lethal cocktail of a bunch of things. And it's not, it's more than just the thing, the belief that I'm not enough. That's very Eurocentric idea concept of shame. Because if we look at the East, the Far East and kind of pre-Christian cultures, like in
Hmm.
Ireland, and so I know about that. Like before the Catholic Church came, it was kind of a tribal society. So they had shame as well, which was again about control. But it wasn't this idea, I'm bad, I'm defective, there's something
Good.
wrong with me, I'm sinful. It was more like if I step out of line, then I'm shaming the family. So I'm ashamed because I've done something that I shouldn't have done, you know? So it's slightly different. And that's the kind that you'll see in like tribal societies, sometimes in East, the Far East, you have a lot of that. And again, it's very corrosive. But I do feel there's something particularly corrosive about this idea that I am defective, I am sinful. And if you think about the other side of it, I'm a sinner and I have to forgive. Like, just think about that for a second. That is a double bind that you can never, ever, ever get out of,
Yeah.
that you're a
I see
sinner,
that.
you have to forgive. But this shame is very useful for hierarchical societies. And this is why you only see it in kind of hierarchical societies, because you internalize the jailer. You don't need the soldier telling you, you can't do that. You shouldn't. We have it inside our head.
No,
It says,
it's
you can't get up
24/7. It doesn't get holidays. It's always on, which is the worst
24,
part.
24/7. Yeah, it's a cheap way of controlling people. Just spread this shame virus. And no, it's very, very clever. And also then you have the whole culture that's reinforcing this. So it's like a disease. It's like a tumor. It's a parasite that has been normalized in our society. And we've been told that you need it. When we
Yeah.
call someone, like I said, linguistically in the English language, particularly, oh my God, you're so shameless. That in any other word in the English language that ends in less means you don't have that thing.
Yeah.
Hopeless. You have no hope. But when we call someone shameless, they're triggering me because they're doing something that I think is not right,
It's
or
not
that
good.
makes me feel uncomfortable. And usually those people are acting out of a lot of shame. Like, think about the people that they get drunk and take all their clothes off or something. They're not acting free of shame. They're acting out of repressed shame. So that's not
Mm.
true. And the other thing, that sometimes if someone is being really authentic and really, I might get triggered by them and say, "Oh my God, she's so shameful," because I'm triggered by that. So
Yeah.
it's not usually about people being free of shame when we say, "Oh, you're shame," or you're shameless. And then if you
Shameless.
think about shameful, so again, you've got the two limitations. You're so shameful. You're full of shame. So like, it's
We don't
you,
have one that's like, you do not have the shame. We really don't. Oh,
yeah.
gosh. But there is a solution for anyone listening today. The sky is not falling. Emma has solutions for you guys. We can combat the shame, okay? The shame can be combated, it can be reduced. That inner narcissistic voice, as Emma calls it, can be put into control. She's literally given us the acronyms for it today. Plus, she's going to give you guys the guide, which is the 5 signs you need to break up with your inner narcissist. Emma, I'd love for you to, as we wrap up today, if you can tell a little bit to our listeners what's in the guide and how will it help them to take action today and move the needle forward.
Well, it's 5 classic signs that this narcissist is running your life and making you shrink, really, and not live to your potential. So it's 5 classic signs for that to watch out for. And if you have more than a couple of them, then it's worth considering, doing the exorcism, breaking up with this thing, recognizing that it's not you, and really, shame it, just it's limiting you. This voice is no good for you. And I think everyone needs to break up with it. But particularly, like, you've got these 5 signs going on. This means that the voice, that shame, that inner narcissist is basically controlling your life. And you can't be free while that thing is running your life. You can't.
Facts. So, for everyone listening, it is time that we break up with shame. Okay, we need to start living our best life. We need to get rid of it. We need to get rid of that inner narcissist. And I'm so happy, Emma, truly I am, that you have gifted us at least the first step in making that decision, that first step in moving the needle forward. So please, if you're listening, please go grab the guide. I think even I'm grabbing the guide. If you don't grab it, I'm going to grab it for you and I'll just email it for you. But grab the guide. It's going to be great. Emma, you have been such an amazing guest. I feel like I've learned so much about shame that was never taught to me, that I never even thought about. This inner voice that is constantly here that I actually need to break up with. And the most interesting thing I think I've heard from you today that has really resonated with me is that it's not me. This voice.
And can I just say one more thing before we wrap up?
Girl, say one more thing.
The cool thing about it is when the more you exorcise this narcissist, inner narcissist, you become unshamable. So think about it. If I come to you and say, "Oh my God, Carol, you've got such a big nose," you will only feel shame there. Or for example, that's just a random example.
No, I know. I'm not taking it personally.
You only experience shame if you have that narcissist that says, "Oh my God, yeah, my nose is so ugly, it's so big." That's the only way you feel shame there, right? I was talking to
Yes.
someone a while ago and they were talking about when they were kids. Some guy went up to, they were eating ice creams, and some guy went up to them and told them, "You shouldn't eat ice cream, it'll make you fat." And these girls, and they just laughed in his face. So this is the power. When you don't have the receptor, the person cannot shame you. So you can take back your power by eliminating this narcissist. And people can come and call you whatever, and you'll just laugh at them. You'll just laugh at them. You won't take it in. You will return that shame to sender because they are trying to project their shame at you, and you don't have to take it.
I love that. I love that. And with that, let us end here. You do not have to take the shame. I hope you don't take the shame today. Once again, thank you so much, Emma, for being here on the podcast. And we will see you all and hear you all in our next episode. Okay, thanks, guys. Bye.